Welcome. Can Rasmus Sandin steal Dermott's job by game 1 of the playoffs? That's the question on everyone's mind lately, right? I mean, obviously, when Zach Bogosian comes back from his injury, he's getting back into that lineup. Neither of those two guys are going to replace him. I think that's pretty clear, if not evident, already. He's been a pleasant surprise. He's perfect in the bottom pairing. He's a right shot. He actually transports the puck quite well and chips in on offense from time to time, too. Not to mention, he's a bouncer in front of the net. And another gritty piece to their lineup, along with Foligno and Simmons and Hyman and now big bad Joe Thornton. So it's whoever is going to play next to Zach Bogosian on the left side. That's what we're talking about. And right now, Sandin is playing with Dermott. Dermott's a left shot, but he's playing the right side while Sandin is playing on the left. And they're playing together, but they're also in direct competition. You would think both of these guys know what's on the line come playoff time, and that every move they make is going to be an important one. So it's hard not to look at Sandin and say, this guy shouldn't start. I mean, he's only played 5 games. That's the big deal so far. But he's most likely going to get most of these games down the stretch. I mean, maybe Hutton pops in for a game or two, but I would think Sandin is at least playing 5 more. Now, in the 5 that he started, as of this video, they just beat Montreal 4-1 yesterday, and they'll be playing Vancouver today. He's got 2 assists. He's a +4. He's got 4 shots on net, 6 hits, and 2 blocks. Not bad. Now, from the eye test perspective, he's just really good at transporting the puck north, south, east, west. He's just a fantastic skater. He's also pretty good on the power play unit, and he just seems to be getting warmed up. Now, when he's with the Marlies in the AHL, he dominated in that position, which is why the Leafs has even been moonlighting with him on the top power play. More on that a little later. But he's more than capable of quarterbacking that second unit. So, in Travis Dermott right now, isn't on the power play at all, of course. They use him as a penalty killer, but once Zach Bogosian comes back, he'll most likely be bounced out of that position. So having Sandin and Bogosian together just makes more and more sense by the day. I mean, the argument for Dermott, of course, is that he's got much more experience, right? He's played 44 games this year as opposed to 5. And he's got 19 playoff games experience, 2 goals and 5 points with a -4 in that time. Whereas, Sandin has got 0 playoff games under his belt, although he's played in a bunch of, AHL games and so forth. Remember, and don't forget, he did play 28 games last year with the Leafs as well. He had 1 goal, 8 points, was a -7, and he was getting pushed around. But that's one of the big points of his game, right? His defensive game seems to have improved quite a lot lately as well. Not to mention, he seems tougher. I'm sure all of you by now have seen that reverse hit on Blake Wheeler in that Jets game that put Blake Wheeler out of commission for a number of days now. And then there was a hit on, I want to say was Evans, the Montreal player in the 4-1 victory, whom he hit kind of like a bit awkwardly on the backside of the shoulder and into the boards. And he was in pain as he skated back to his bench. So it's becoming clear that he's able to now take care of himself physically as well as the puck in his own zone too, which was a major weakness of his. So I guess we're obviously going to need to see more games from him. But I think there's a very good chance this could happen. He could take Dermott's job and start in the playoffs. I mean, maybe there's some part of Leafs management / coaching that, wants to be a bit loyal to him because he signed that 1-year contract and he's been doing a good enough job. But even, when just before trade deadline day was approaching, I was talking about how it would be nice to see Dermott get bounced into that 7th spot, and for them to get a veteran of some sort who's good defensively, especially because of the way Zach Bogosian's been handling himself on the offensive side of things as well, to play in that bottom pairing. But ever since Sandin has come in and sort of started to prove himself defensively, as well as been able to move the puck, he's kind of been a breath of fresh air. And I would think they'd be really eager to see him play with Bogosian on that bottom pairing. So, although I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he steals a spot from Dermott, I think there's a good chance he does. So we'll see what happens on that front. And I wanted to briefly talk about his future as well, because he's got one more year left in his entry-level contract. He's making just under $900,000. And then, of course, he's an RFA with no ARB rights. He is a former first-round pick, by the way, 29th overall picked in 2018. He's 183 pounds, 5'11", from Uppsala, Sweden. Again, maybe that weight's different. Maybe he weighs even a bit more now, because he definitely looks like he's a bit more solid, a bit more muscle on his bones. He's taking hits and giving them, as mentioned already. Now, Morgan Rielly's coming up very shortly in a contract year. He's got one more year left, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Rielly makes $5 million, and after next season, he'll become a UFA. Now, Rielly this season has in 49 games has 4 goals and 32 points, and is a plus 15. But I know how nervous we all are when we see Rielly start in his own zone, especially late in the game when they're defending a lead. He just isn't the greatest defensively speaking. He does come back into the play and back checks if he gets caught, and he seems to do a good job there. But once the opposition solidifies themselves in Toronto's zone, Rielly just seems to be 1 or 2 steps behind the play. He's just not quick enough, not sound enough as per se like a TJ Brody, who's always got his stick along the ice and cutting off those passes that are going from one side of the net to the other. And remember, Rielly 2 seasons ago, back in 2018-19, put up a 72-point season. And then last year, he did really poorly. He had some injury issues as well, but in 47 games, he had 27 points. I really thought he would bounce back this year, and he has to a certain extent. He's already got more points and slightly more games. But I think Rielly's, like a 45-point kind of defenseman who you definitely have to pair up with a defensive-minded guy like a Brody, in order for him to not be, taken advantage of. Just at a loss for the English language at the moment. You know what I mean? Like he needs like a David Savard kind of type, or an Ekholm kind of guy to play with in order for him not to be exploited defensively. So Rasmus Sandin's got another year. And I think the Leafs are going to play it out and see if he excels. And maybe, just maybe, we could see a Cale Makar kind of scenario, / Tyson Barrie, where Sandin really, comes into his own next season, maybe even in these playoffs, and makes Rielly expendable. I know that sounds crazy. I know he's been with the team. He's the oldest Leaf that's been there, and there's a lot of value to him. He transports the puck really well. I know all these things. But if Rielly's looking for a raise from his $5 million salary, it's probably going to start with minimum 6.5, I would imagine. And we all know that the cap is not going anywhere. It's stagnant right now for next season, maybe even a season or two after that at $81.5 million. And the Leafs just don't have the money, right? You could say, oh, what about Frederick Anderson? Maybe they won't sign him. That's possible. If he wants the same kind of money at $5 million, maybe they give it to him. Maybe they decide they need to save a million or $1.5 million and go after, say, like a Chris Driedger, who's going to be a UFA, formerly or presently of the Florida Panthers, and team him up with Jack Campbell. Maybe they save some money there, right? Still, I'm not sure that's going to be enough for Rielly and for them to continue to, bolster their lineup, especially defensively. Can they get Zach Bogosian back, for instance, for another year at the same salary? I don't know. Will Timothy Lindgren come up finally? Although I got a feeling he's going to need another year. I know, of seasoning in the AHL. Although I hear he's improving defensively as well. If Sandin, if he really comes out of his own and shows he can take that number one spot away from Rielly, maybe they think Rielly's expendable, because they also have to think of Zach Hyman's a new contract, which is at least going to double, right? You're going to see Hyman probably make minimum, I want to say $4.5 million in his next contract, which is up this year. I'll just confirm that at this moment. Here we go. Yeah, he's a UFA at the end of the season. He's going to command at least 4.5. I know Zach Hyman isn't all about the money, and we've heard that in the papers lately, on social media. Sorry, is my oldness creeping out. But, the money, they're just so tight up against the cap right now that, if Sandin proves himself in the playoffs and next season and maybe makes Rielly expendable, if Rielly wants too much money and, they try and save money in the goaltending, and Zach Hyman's not going anywhere. He's not. He's going to get the money no matter what. An extra $2.5 million. The question is, will Anderson stay, and how much money will they pay out to a goaltender, be it him or someone else, and how much will Rielly want? So, this decision is at least another year coming, but just some food for thought there. I wanted to spice this video up a tad more. There you have it. I would love to hear from you, especially Toronto fans, if you think Sandin's going to make the lineup and why. If not, maybe they start with Dermott, and if he has any hiccups and or if they lose a game, or they just, Sandin comes in right away, or maybe they alternate between the two. I don't think they're going to play with 7 defensemen. I don't see that scenario happening. Of course, knock on wood, maybe they'll start doing that in the next few games just in case, just to, experiment like anyone would in these last, handful of games coming up before the playoffs. But I don't see that happening. So let me know what you think down below. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the moment. Discord, I hope, is coming soon. So is Patreon. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Help the channel out and share this video. It would be a huge favor to me. After 2.5 years of doing this, I think I could use a little bit more subscribers, maybe. I kind of think so. Cheers. Please be kind to each other out there, and I'll see you soon.